Afternoon. Uh, we're here for our daily press conference. Um, the situation is still ongoing. Uh, there are it's still a very volatile situation. Um, Air quality is good. We have members of the United States EPA and the state of Ohio EPA that will be discussing that in a little greater detail. There's still a state of emergency in place. Uh, it's a 1 mile radius from the scene of the accident. There's a stay at home order still in place. It's still 1 mile. It has not changed. We're getting a lot of rumors that it's been expanded to 2, but it has not. Drinking water still safe. It's being monitored every 2 hours. They have detected nothing. It still could be discolored because of all the fire operations that took place the other night, but as of safety, it's perfectly fine to drink. This morning, the sheriffs went door to door to get a count of the residents who stayed. I can't stress enough that if you are in the evacuation zone, you need to leave. It could be a dangerous situation that I don't want to see any of our residents get hurt. The big thing is we need people to stay home and not come into East Palestine. I cannot stress that enough. Last night we made 1 arrest for misconduct at an emergency, and we will continue to do that if this does not stop. You're endangering our police and fire by them having to come and tell you to move. Stay away from the scene. There's nothing to see. There's plenty of pictures on social media. If that's as good as you're going to get, you don't need to see anything in person. We are coming up with a fact sheet. A contractor for Norfolk Southern is coming up with a fact sheet. They're going to produce that. As soon as we get that, we're going to put it out to tell you, as far as all the chemicals in the air. The air is still safe. They're getting no readings, and now they're in the site. A couple of the creeks in town have been affected by this. The EPA will address that. Also, I've been in contact with the school administration. I've asked him to close the schools tomorrow. The administration has agreed, and we will discuss that again tomorrow afternoon to see if that needs to be extended. But East Palestine village schools, city schools will be closed tomorrow. At this time, I will pass it over to Fire Chief Keith Drabick.
All right, good afternoon. We still have as the mayor said, we still have a very active incident. We still are monitoring it very closely with Norfolk Southern and their emergency response teams, along with several other federal agencies and their response teams. As of right now, we are still not conducting any what we call downrange or on-scene operations. It's still too volatile of an area. Once we are in agreement with those federal agencies and Norfolk Southern, then we will start some operations down there to help mitigate this and get this over with. Again, I cannot stress enough, stay out of town, all right? There's no need to come here. You come here and start rubbernecking, they will hook you up. You'll get a tour of the county from here to Lisbon. Stay out of town. If you decided not to leave, stay in your house. Please, we're trying to do this for your safety. I'll turn it over to Peggy Clark, EMA.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. So the
mics. That's not it. I'll come to the mic.
So the evacuation shelter remains in place at the junior senior high school, and that's at 320 West Grand Street here in the village. The Red Cross continues to staff that location. They're providing meals and a place to stay for any residents that have been impacted by the evacuation area. Currently, there is about 8 residents that remain at the shelter. Norfolk Southern continues to offer their Family Assistance Center. So that is a place where residents can go to get information regarding temporary housing, any out-of-pocket expenses they've occurred, or any other support that they may need as part of an impact from this emergency. I was able to find out that they assisted 75 residents yesterday, and before we came down here to talk to you folks, they had seen about 100 residents so far this morning. So again, that is the Norfolk Southern Family Assistance Center. That is in the city park, so it's the East Palestine City Park Community Center, and that's at 31 Park Avenue here in the village. They're open today from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and will continue to be open 8 a to 8 p daily as long as the evacuation is in place. 211 continues to be available for residents to call if they have any additional questions that they're not getting answers from during these press briefings that we're having. So feel free to call them. They're answering questions, providing additional information. If the media has questions specific for Norfolk Southern, I do have a contact information that I can provide to y'all for those. But that's all I have for EMA this morning.
One more thing to mention about the park. We will be closing the entrance of the park, and you will have to go in and out at the exit. There's ongoing events and I guess mitigation. So we're gonna close that to give the EPA room to work down there. So it'll just be one way in and out, and it's the exit of the park.
We'll now turn it over to the officials from the EPA.
Justice with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. We continue to support Incident Command and Unified Command, the fire chief, with providing air monitoring and air sampling in the community and around the incident, the derailment location. So far, most of our air monitoring is generally background. We're not getting a lot of detections in the community, but I want to stress what the mayor and the fire chief had indicated. It's a dynamic situation. There is still assessment that needs to be done with the rail cars, and things can change at any time. And until the incident stabilized, we'll continue to do regular air monitoring in conjunction with our other local, state, and federal partners, as well as Norfolk Southern, so we can notify and provide the information needed if the incident does change and that air quality does change.
Buddy, Kurt Kohler with the Ohio EPA's Emergency Response Unit. Ohio EPA has been on scene since the onset of the incident on Friday night. Our role is we've been supporting Unified Command and air monitoring, but primarily with water quality monitoring in the local streams and area. What we have done is set up a series of containment dams and booms which allow water to pass underneath them, yet collecting the material that's on the surface. There is a dissolve phase, part of the material into the water. We also have set up 3 aeration locations which are using high volume pumps to treat that water in place and remove those dissolved contaminants. The efforts that we are doing are commonplace in the emergency response efforts. The scale of this is just increased, and that's where we're at. We'll continue to support Unified Command. There is water quality monitoring being done on a daily basis throughout these waterways. Thank you.
A couple more things on the fire side. We did request through the State Fire Chiefs Association of Ohio and IMT. We did receive that last night through Butler County, Ohio. They are here and they're helping us with our Unified Command and keeping everything in check. We're going to keep them here until this incident stabilizes, whenever that may be.
The other thing I have for our residents, if you have questions or comments, please do not call our dispatch or our non-emergency number. Please call 211. Leave dispatch open for any emergencies or police actions that you need somebody there. You're jamming up dispatch calling and asking questions. They don't have the answers. Anything that we have, we've put out on our social media page, East Palestine, Ohio, or East Palestine Information, I'm sorry. So call 211, do not call our dispatch. And please stay home. I cannot reiterate it enough. Just stay out of East Palestine. If you don't live here, and if you're in your house, please stay in place. Do not come to our town. I guess I will open up for questions.
Limited questions today, folks.
Chief, Mary Ann with the Morning Journal.
Yes.
There were some rumors going on about a controlled burn or something going on where you were telling people to leave. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Well,
Was
the
there
first
some
part of
sort
your statement was correct, rumors.
Okay,
I have divulged no information about any controlled
Okay.
burns, anything like that,
okay.
nor would I. That's all rumors.
Abigail Cloutier with WKBN News. Are there any concerns that, this is for the EPA, I guess, are there any concerns downstream of those contaminants that could they be affected before you guys came in for mitigation measures?
We are aware that a slug of the material got outside of containment prior to its installation. Through both natural attenuation within the creek and waterway and through support from in-field sampling using direct reading instrumentation, we are not aware of any elevated readings that we would anticipate to have impact to human health.
Janet Rogers, WFMJ, where do those, how much volume went into those streams and where do those streams go to? Do they go into any sources of water? And what is the likelihood of those going into well water, et cetera? How good is the containment effort and mitigation to remove those chemicals from a water source?
The containment and treatment measures we use, again, are commonplace, and we have found them, it's even used US EPA, very effective. The water course, yes, it is local, drains all the way down to Little Beaver Creek and eventually the Ohio River. We do have sampling extending all the way down into Little Beaver Creek. As far as the volume amount, we do not have an accurate estimation on that. We did have visual free product on the surfaces within Sulphur Run, which is right here in town. And again, an amount got passed there.
What
We're
is
not
the
seeing any
acceptable limit?
indications of free product in Leslie Run, Little Beaver Creek, or anything else like that.
Sorry, what is the acceptable limit in water and, what would you say to people about the drinking water right now? How toxic is vinyl chloride when mixed with water?
From the water quality standards, again, East Palestine and none of the water systems draw surface water. So none of these waterways have a surface water intake to be used for potable water. You rely on a groundwater network, and the area impacted in these waterways are outside your groundwater protection area. So we don't anticipate any impact to your public water supply systems. Our Division of Drinking and Groundwater is aware of this. They are actively engaged with the locals and anybody with them. Orsanco, which helps monitor the Ohio River, is also aware of this release. And if there are downwater intakes along the Ohio River that might be threatened, they're already aware of things.
Can you give us a little history on the background of this chemical that's burning? Tell us what it is and what it's used for and how dangerous it is.
That'll all be in that release, the frequently asked question release when that comes out. Once it's approved up through the chain, that's when that information will be put out.
Dominic Fronte, Spectrum News. First off, thank you guys so much for everything that you guys are doing and helping keep the community informed and stuff. I know you guys are stressing that it's so important to stay out of the town. Although it may seem obvious, can you explain why that is so important for residents to remain outside of the city limits and that evacuation zone?
Because a train carrying hazardous material wrecked in the town and is burning. Doesn't get any simpler than that.
Hannah Erdman, WQBN, for emergency management, maybe with American Red Cross, we've seen people with masks. Is that recommended if they do have to step outside their homes, especially if they are in town?
So as Ohio EPA addressed, they've been doing air monitoring and there are no recommendations for masks due to this instance.
Abigail Cloutier, WKBN. I know yesterday we weren't sure whether or not the vinyl chloride was burning. Do we have any more clarity as to what's actually burning in the air right now?
I can't confirm any of that.
Janet Rogers, WFMJ News. I'm trying to find out what is the, ventilation systems. I mean, the chemical obviously gets into your ventilation systems, et cetera, so it's probably indoors also. So who can address whether the stuff stays in your circulation systems, through your air HVAC systems, and what type of dangers there are at what levels, what parts per million are acceptable, and how close are you monitoring and how far out are you monitoring those levels?
I can address that. So our air monitoring and sampling, so it's a combination. Air monitoring, to clarify, gives us a general indication real time of what the concentrations of the chemicals are in the air. It's not as good as analytical, but to make real-time decisions, it's our best opportunity to make real-time decisions. Currently, we have not seen anything above our established screening levels, but as the chief and the mayor have pointed out, it's a dynamic situation. Things can change at any moment. We still have a smoldering fire in the cars. So that's why we're gonna continue to monitor until that stops, and then remediation begins. So those things could fluctuate and they could change. Part of the fact sheet we probably should include part of the fact sheet, what those screening levels are, that we have a list of the chemicals provided by Norfolk Southern. And in addition to that, we monitor for other chemicals as well that are products of combustion. So you have the chemicals themselves, but when they burn, they could produce other things, and we don't always know what those chemicals are. So that's why we do air sampling, and as we get those air samples analytical back, we will be reviewing those with state and federal health officials and sharing them, and if those tell us anything different than air monitoring, obviously we'll let the public know. But to give you specific numbers right now, it's hard because every chemical is different, but we are monitoring for a myriad of chemicals and combustion products, and so far, we haven't seen anything actionable, but that's part of the reason why the evacuation zone is in place. We don't want anybody in that 1 mile, because if things change in the near term, it's gonna be hard to address those and get everybody out.
I was talking with someone from Hazmat yesterday who says that one of the byproducts when it burns off is actually something that is used as a toxin or an agent by terrorists. What are the chemicals that you are monitoring for that actually burn off from the vinyl chloride? There's 3 products that are produced.
I'm gonna go from memory here, because it's a pretty long list, but we have the chemicals of concern that were in transport, but I'm gonna assume the chemical is probably phosgene. Another contaminant of combustion is hydrochloric acid. We're monitoring for all those as part of our air monitoring and sampling scheme.
As far as
Phosgene was it, thank you.
as far as the evacuation zone, the 1 mile radius, can you tell me like what streets are part of that? Like
So
what-
that-
what borders it?
That runs from Market Street.
East of Market Street from Highland Avenue to Jimtown Road.
No, we have noticed a lot of different roads closing, but on our maps, they haven't. We're just having to work our way around as we go. Do you have a specific list of road closures around town that people need to know about?
Just every eastbound road going east of Market Street. So technically, we don't need anybody over there. I've seen we just left the incident command center, and I had to wait in traffic at a stoplight. Haven't had to wait in traffic at a stoplight here in forever. I had to wait for the second light. It's ridiculous. People need to stay out of East Palestine, please. I can't stress that enough.
We know the train was heading to Conway, Pennsylvania. Do we have any idea where those chemicals were headed eventually, where they were going to be delivered?
No, we don't have that information.
Does anyone have any information on, apparently?
All right, hold on. Abby, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask if there's a reason as to why we don't know what was on the other cars yet? Is it because Norfolk can't get to the train?
Because of the active incident still going on, we still have fires down there burning. It's just not safe to get in there and 100% identify exactly which cars of that train, which I believe had over 100 cars on it, somewhere in that nature, exactly which one of those are actively burning. We have done some drone footage there, and again, this is outside of us. They're doing their thing to identify that, and we're getting information as we get it from them. But this is a process. Safety has to come first, not only for the citizens, but for those of us that are working at this scene. So it's a methodical process. All right?
Absolutely. And a short follow-up question. Has Norfolk communicated with you guys if they, keep a digital database or a manifest that is accessible? Is there another way that they can figure out, you know, what was on that train?
I can't answer any questions based on what Norfolk Southern has or does not have.
I was told federally they're required to keep a manifest.
That would be a correct statement,
Okay,
but I can't speak for Norfolk Southern, man.
okay.
In terms of water and the ground, is there any risk to potential livestock in the area, farms, anything like that?
Our first round of water quality samples submitted for laboratory analysis are pending. We're hopeful maybe later today, but most likely tomorrow, Tuesday. That will help dictate some of those future uses. We are unaware of any on that mainstream that are used for domestic livestock. And again, field indications indicate at a point in time there was low level dissolved phase in there, and currently we don't see that condition because our containment is in place, it is working, and we do have that supplemental treatment going on in Sulphur Run.
What led to the arrest yesterday, and what kind of charges could they be facing?
Okay, this is gonna be the last question. What led to the arrest is they were down by the scene late last night, and the charge was misconduct at an emergency. That was what they were arrested under. And if it continues to happen, they will be continued to be arrested.
So they went around barriers?
They went
and
around
they
barricades, they drove up, and I think they walked up there. I don't have the specifics, I just know they were by the scene. It wasn't just, they were 5 streets away, they were actually by the scene. And at night, there's nothing to see. I mean, I don't know why anybody would want to be up there. It's, you know, you're breathing toxic fumes in if you're that close. I just want to reiterate that, just right there. That's how close they were. So anybody that lives on any of the streets, the air, as of right now, is still fine. Our drinking water is still fine. It's all contained in one system. Our wells do not get water from over there, so everything is good as far as that is concerned. 2 things, the East Palestine Village offices will be closed tomorrow. It's gonna be a hectic situation here. So anybody that has to pay water bills or anything like that, don't worry about it tomorrow, please. Please stay away from the office. If there's any emergency, please contact dispatch if you need anything from the village. Second, we had a council meeting and a special council meeting tomorrow night. I have canceled those because we will still be under the stay-at-home order and the state of emergency, so those will be canceled for tomorrow evening. And I will update later when we will reschedule those.
Will there be another press conference?
Tomorrow at noon, we will do another press conference. We have quite a bit of meetings tonight, and I can't guarantee what time we can get back in here. So we're gonna do it at noon. Once again, like I said yesterday, and I've said every other press conference, if there's any major changes, all the media will be noted immediately to put out on the air. I would appreciate any local media if you could put at the bottom to use the 211 and not dispatch. Yesterday was a very hectic situation there. The air is still safe. I just want to reiterate that. And please stay away from East Palestine and stay away from the wreck. I know it sounds like a broken record, but it's a very, I don't want to say dangerous situation, it's a very volatile situation that could turn into a dangerous situation if things don't happen the way they should.
Do you know if the NTSB is going to have another press conference?
I think they're working on something, but they're still in the planning stages. They just finally got everybody into town, so that's it.
Does the emergency declaration open East Palestine for any state and federal dollars to help with what's going on?
It does. We're still in the beginning stages of that, so we'll put that out at a later